non-reader and you've always had the thought, you know what, reading is really not meant for me. That is probably why you have never ever picked up a book. But you see a social media post, you see your friends around you, maybe your siblings, reading a book, getting lost in a fictional world, and you just wonder, what is it about books that attracts these people so much? You think maybe, just maybe, if you found a good book, if it was of your interest, you will give it a shot. Maybe. If you are who I am talking about, this is the video where you get that maybe book. Because this is a traditional video that I have made almost every year on a yearly basis, especially for people like you, because I was in that spot once in my life where I thought of myself as a non-reader, but one day I had nothing to do, only time on my hands, and I was like, let me just look for a book. Looked for a book, picked it up, turned out to be a life-changing book, which has now led me to make a channel about books. In today's video, I'm going to recommend engaging, fast-paced, easy to read fiction and non-fiction books that you can start with. One of these books can actually be your first book, and I'm going to be recommending from various genres. I do make a lot of other beginner-friendly videos because even if you have read your first book but you're still wondering what book you want to read, I want to keep you in love with reading, and so I make a lot of beginner-friendly videos. I'll link them all in the description. They're genre-specific, author-specific. You can go and check that out too. But first, watch this video. And all of my regular viewers, you cutesies, all of you who have clicked on this video, thank you so much for coming back, first of all. And secondly, there may be a lot of repetitions in this video, but the goal of this video, our goal for today, is to actually convert non-readers into readers. And so I want you also to help me and comment down below a book that you would recommend as a first book to a beginner. Write down the genre, write down why you think it will be engaging. Just go all out, have fun with it. And let's make today and all of the days till when this video is live, the day when we convert a lot of non-readers into readers and bookworms like us. Let's begin the video. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very, very nice. I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you. Hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, please do consider subscribing. The first 3 videos that I have done in this pattern will also be linked in the description. You can check it out, and in each of those videos I have first recommended non-fiction books, but I have recently become more of a fiction reader because fiction books are changing my life in a way that non-fiction could never. And so we're gonna start with fiction, and towards the end I'll recommend the non-fiction books. Let us start with a book that is about books, so that you can just see how books can be a magical portal, a magical door to different worlds, because this is one book that has depicted that in the best way possible. It has depicted what a book means to a book lover, and if you're reading a book for the first time, you will want to see why we are so obsessed with it. You will want to see why when reality gets hard, or even if it doesn't, actually we just want to get lost in a book. It has sort of like a thrillery plot, so it's very fast paced. It has a fantasy element to it, so it keeps you in that imaginative, magical place. It is so easy to read, and all of the characters are so amazing. There is nothing bad about this book except the size of it, but I think if you get a paperback version, even the size won't be intimidating. The book I'm talking about is The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown, which is one of my recent favorites. It's definitely a 6-star read. It's one of my most favorite books of this year. I was not picking it up simply because of the size of the book. So I totally understand that if you're a beginner, you would not want to pick it up. But I'm telling you, literally after the first 5 to 10 pages, you will not be able to keep it down, and it will not read like a long book. You will be so immersed in the world that you will wish that there were more books in this world. And honestly, to this date, I keep thinking I really hope this becomes a series somehow. An ordinary woman who works in a bookish environment discovers a magical book, which is the Book of Doors. If you have this book, any door is every door. You can literally step into whichever place you want to step into, and we see her journey with the Book of Doors. There's just so much more to it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. You have to go into it blind, because I went into it blind and I was flabbergasted. It was awesome. So if you like a little bit of fantasy but you still want a thrillery, fast-paced book, or those are the kind of movies that you consume that take you away, that just sway you away from the world, then this is going to be the perfect book for you. Thrillers are literally one of the best genres to start with. So if you like thriller movies at all, or you watch thriller series at all, not psychological thrillers but like proper adrenaline pumping thrillers, then you should definitely start with a thriller book, because it's going to be so fast-paced, it's going to be so easy to read that you're going to be addicted to them. And the one book that can do that for you is the next recommendation, which is the story of a woman who reads a book, does not like it, gives it 1 star, and the author decides to stop stalk her and kill her. The book is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I have recommended it on this channel at least a million times because I am obsessed with this book. There is no other thriller that is better than this to start, so you can see just how thrillery, adrenaline pumping, crazy books can be. You may be thinking to yourself that, oh, movies are easy to watch, they're so fast paced, I'm so engaged in them, books are slow, books are cozy all the time, books won't really make me feel like that. You're going to be proven wrong, because you read this book and you'll just go crazy and you'll be like, oh my god, my eyes actually can't read as fast as I want them to read, because there is nothing cozy about this book. There is nothing, oh okay, I'm a reader about this book. This book slices through your heart. It's a slasher in a book, and it will give you all of those feelings that you get from movies. Talking about the cozy vibe, I do have a book about the cozy vibe. This book actually genuinely, not just this book, but this author actually changed my life. I have a very negative conception in my mind of the real world, of a community in the real world. I just don't really like public places. I don't like being in, okay, that's not what the video is about. But I read these books and it made me want to do things that will help me to build a community of my own. It showed me that while there are bad people in the world, good people are there too, and the right people for you will come to you and stay even if you have your flaws. And if you are your authentic self, you will find connections that you can never forget. And I got all of that from this one book. The book is The Authenticity Project by Claire Pooley, who has also written People on Platform 5, which was my first book by this author, and How to Age Disgracefully, which is literally a 6-star read for me. This one is the story of The Authenticity Project, which is a notebook that is left by somebody in a cafe, and the old man who leaves it has written his truth in it, how he is a lonely man. He has bared himself open in it, and what he wants is somebody else to pick up this Authenticity Project notebook, write their truth in it, and then leave it again in some place so that the chain continues. And we see what exactly happens with that, what happens with all of these characters, and there are multiple POVs in it. It's written so well, even though it's literally the story of characters. It's very character heavy. Flaws that these characters have, and then how they mingle with each other, the way it's woven together, where you see relationship building properly between two characters before you move on to the third character. The entire multiple POVs aspect of it keeps you on your toes, keeps this book engaging. It's funny, and it just gets so real about life sometimes. So if you're looking for one feel good cozy book, this one is the perfect one for you. Let's move on to drama. Let's move on to how human beings just can't keep it together. If you like reality shows, if you tend to get obsessed with various bands and you like their drama, if you get so invested in their lives, who are they dating, what are they doing, all that sort of stuff, then this is the perfect book for you. It is also written in an interview style where all of the people of this particular band are being interviewed by somebody, and you get to go into the head and heart of all of these band members and see all of the drama, all of their flaws, all of the gossip. Though when I was reading it, it was actually really utterly sad, because you also get attached to the characters, because that's just how the characters are, even with their flaws. And so when all of this drama happens with these characters, you're just like, I wish it did not happen. That is the vibe of this book. Interview style makes it so easy to read. You won't even feel like you're reading your first book. You're going to be so engaged in it. So if you like gossip, drama, rumors, band, Hollywood news, Bollywood news, perfect book for you. The book is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid is a very popular author with so many awesome books, and I think I have recommended a couple of books by her in my previous videos. She just writes so simply that there is barely any art to the way she writes what she writes, but it just cuts so deep in the feelings that you just smile to yourself. The band is called Daisy Jones and the Six. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it encaptured in this one book. It will make you laugh, it will make you cry, it will make you angry. You may actually also hate the book, but I'm pretty sure even if you do hate it, even if you don't like the characters at all, and you're just like, wait, it was not that good, completely fine. At least you'll see what books can be like and how they're not just one vibe. You will see that there are more books out there like this, which is all about the drama and gossip, and it can get super fun and engaging. Now, one of my most favorite genres ever, my comfort genre has always been in movies, rom-coms. I go back to some rom-coms all the time, one of them being Just Like Heaven, which is a magical story with Reese Witherspoon in it. Even if that is not your comfort movie, but you just like to go to rom-com, then the next book is the best one for you, because it is a rom-com, but but it's also so deeply emotional and engaging with the best quotations ever, and has a little bit of magic in it. The book is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, who has also written other books that I love, but this one is going to be the best one that you can start with. Even in romance, this is the best book you can start with if you believe in that magical love, because this book is based on an apartment that travels in time, and that is the magic. And if you're worried, oh my god, I don't want to get into the time travel aspect of it, like just give me the romance, this is going to be perfect, because it does not explain why the apartment travels in time, 7 years in time. You just sort of see that it does, you accept it, and you move on to the story. One of the most beautiful stories ever. I am obsessed with it. Just look at all of those annotations. All of these tabs are beautiful quotations and moments in the book. Out of context, where two characters kiss, and I kissed him roughly and hungrily, wanting to tattoo the taste of him into the grey matter of my brain. Those are the kind of quotations that this book is filled with. It does not have spice at all, so you don't have to worry about that. It just goes as far as kissing. Even though it's an adult romance, even if you're like 16 plus, I think you can definitely read this book and dream about the magical love. Talking about teenagers reading books, I am not going to miss out on you. Reading when you're a teenager, apart from studies, please don't just like skip out on your studies to read books. That is not the appropriate strategy if you want to read in the long term, if you also want to be able to buy books for yourself in the future. But adopting reading as a hobby when you're a teenager is going to benefit you so much, not just in your teenage with your teenage brain, but also with your future when you're an adult, because there are awesome books out there that you can read as soon as you become an adult. The book that you can start with if you're a teenager, even if you're an adult, you can read it, because I read this book as an adult and I am literally obsessed with it. If you want to start with a book, the best book you can start with is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, which is also a romance novel. It is a story of Liz, who has recently lost her mother, and her mother and Liz used to love watching rom-com movies together, and so Liz always daydreams about this rom-com sort of love that will also come in her life, sort of holding on to that connection with her mother, and you see how that plays out for her. There's just so much more in the back of the book that you can read, and you'll come to know who the main character is and things like that, but I would recommend don't do that. Just go into the book blind if you like this premise. It has enemies to lovers sort of a trope. If you like rom-com movies a lot, you will be obsessed with this book. Each chapter actually starts with a line from a popular rom-com movie, a dialogue from a popular rom-com movie. Moving on from all of the light vibes, now we are moving on to a bit of heaviness, because the next two books that I'm going to recommend, you can read either or. They're historical fiction. They're based on World War II. The backdrop is World War II. So if you like to watch those sort of movies, historical movies that do focus on the characters though, not like a documentary, because then you should start with memoirs and biographies. These are fiction novels, so it is more about the characters. It's a character study, but with the backdrop of whatever was happening in World War II. If that is your vibe, these are the best books for you. First up, we have The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and second we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna, also the author of multiple other historical fiction books. My favorite is The Four Winds, but The Four Winds is a little too slow if you're a beginner. This one is properly engaging. It is set in Paris, and it is the story of two sisters during World War II in France. You see how they were living their life. So if you want a woman-centric book, then you will enjoy this a lot. In no way do I mean that it's just meant for women. I mean, the books are gender neutral, so no matter who you are, if you're looking for a women-centric book, you can read this book. But if you want a more familiar vibe where there's a family, there are multiple characters, there are neighbors, all of them are affected by World War II, then this is the perfect book. I know it is thick, but when you read it, it does not read like a thick book, especially if you like historical stories. The perfect way to describe it will be the movie Jojo Rabbit. So if you have watched that movie, then I think you'll enjoy these books a lot. Though it is nothing like Jojo Rabbit, honestly I like Book Thief more than Jojo Rabbit, but I do like Jojo Rabbit too. A little more about the darkness in the world, but not in a realistic way. Move it to a dystopian world, you don't get bored at all, and it's relatively shorter than the first two books that I recommended. This is a YA dystopian novel that I have recently read, and I cannot believe that I had not read it before. If you're a teenager, you can still go ahead and read this book. The book I'm talking about is The Hunger Games. In this world, The Hunger Games is held every year, where two people from each district go to volunteer, and in The Hunger Games we only have one winner, and that is the person who lives. All the other contestants, the volunteers, die. So if you want to survive, you have to kill everybody. And all of this, the entire Hunger Games, just for the joy of the people of the capital, just as entertainment. This is actually an entire series, so I would recommend, if you want to get started with a series, then you can get started with this book. But even if you don't want to go ahead and read the other two books, I know nobody will probably agree with me, like if you've already read The Hunger Games, and yes, you should definitely read the entire series. But if you're like, what if I read the first book and that's it? What if I don't want to get into the series? I personally think that there are so many loops that are left open that all get completed in the other two books. But if you just want a simple story of The Hunger Games, you can still read the book. There are no major cliffhangers that will leave you hanging and be like, oh my god, now I have to read the second book also. No, but I'm telling you, once you do read the book, you will want to read the second and the third book. It's just that good. I have kept this fiction book in the end because it is so thick and the genre is so unique. It is the Greek mythology genre. It is popular that Persephone was dragged to the underworld by Hades. Hades is the god of death. He's the king of the underworld, and Persephone is the goddess of life, of flowers. And it's said that Hades actually dragged her to the underworld, but when you read this book, you come to know that she actually chose to go to the underworld. It is such an empowering book. It also talks about gender roles, but make that very light, very funny in places, and filled with romance. Hades is literally goals. I mean, I am obsessed with him, and this entire dynamic of the god of death and the goddess of life coming together, it's just awesome. I don't think there's much spice in it, but I do suggest you check it once because I'm not sure. The book is Girl Goddess Queen by B.F. Fitzgerald. Just look at that. It's really thick, but I read it in 2 sittings. I am a reader and I know it makes sense that, oh okay, of course, like you've been reading, like look at all of the books, you've read so many books, obviously you can read this. I get it, but even then I am reading so many other thick books that take me ages. This one, 2 sittings. Why? Because there's so much drama, there's romance, there's politics, there's power play, there's women empowerment, gender roles. So much is going on that you just like, you don't know where the entire book goes. I am obsessed with this book. So if you want to start with Greek mythology, and Greek mythology is a good genre to start with also. Greek mythology is filled with drama that really engages you. I have a video on how you can start with Greek mythology that will also be in the description. You can check it out if you want other recommendations. But if you want a book that is filled with everything, tragedy, politics, love, then this is the perfect book, and it is definitely beginner friendly. With that, we are done with all of the fiction books. Moving on to non-fiction, I always recommend a lot of non-fiction books, but I realize that I am becoming the kind of person who basically reads non-fiction books cover to cover and then applies nothing in their life, and that kind of information is bad for you. It's like just plain bad. There is a possibility that you start feeling like a loser. At least that is what was happening with me, because I could see all of these things that I was supposed to do and I was not able to do it, because you just can't change your entire life in 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, and I was overloaded with information, and so I started feeling like a loser. That is why I have actually now decided to reread my favorite books, keep going back to parts that stuck with me because they stuck with me for a reason, and actually apply it in my real life. So the 4 books I'm going to recommend can be perfect for that purpose. The first book is The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. When I got this book and the back of it says a single book can change your life, I was just like, yeah, right. Every book says that. This one actually proved to be right. It's a short book and it's written in a conversational style between a youth, a man, and a philosopher. The reason this book is amazing is because it's not just about being disliked by other people, that oh okay, just like don't care about what people think, people's opinion does not matter. It does not give you that short answer that is supposed to change your life. It actually tells you how you can set boundaries, how actually what you think about yourself, your self-image, and sometimes the deep-rooted self-hatred is what is holding you back from living your authentic life, and that is what makes you not courageous enough to be disliked. And if you are able to heal from that, then it is easy to gain the courage to be disliked. And even then, how, if you're doing it the right way, if you're actually just being your authentic self instead of just saying get lost to everybody, you can also find your tribe. People that are meant for you will come to you. This also helped me so much with my YouTube journey, because when I get criticism in the comments now, which I did a few days back, I don't take it as an attack, because I know that you love me. I am able to differentiate between people who just want bad for me, because my boundaries are so set, because I try to live more authentically to myself, and I know when people do love me but they're trying to communicate something to me, and it is important to listen to them. All of that knowledge I got from this one book, and it actually did change my life. The reason I say one book cannot change your life is because you have to read the book and then do a lot more things to actually change your life. And this one also I've read it so many times, so it's not like it just changed my life in one day, but just reading it for the first time itself just changed my entire perspective towards so many things. And since then I have become a much more louder person of who I am. Does not mean that I just keep yelling at people and telling them this is who I am. This, no, that's not what I mean. I'm just saying that it's easier for me to show up as myself when I'm taking meetings, when I'm talking to people, when I'm making videos, all of those things. Next up, if you don't want the courage to be disliked currently, and you're just like, wait, can I just take a step back? I want to just focus on myself right now. And also, if you're just freaking tired of the advice, be yourself, that one-liner, be yourself and everything will be okay. If you're tired of that advice, because you're like, who I am right now is not who I want to be. Who I am right now is not helping me. It's not making me happy. It's not giving me joy. I want to change. What do I do about that? Then the next book is perfect for you, because this one lets you know how all of those aspects of yourself that you don't really like, they are habits, and they are habits that can be broken, and you can do it. And then when all of these layers of conditioning and social media and consumption has all been lifted, then you find yourself a little bit, you discover yourself, and then you can start to be yourself and everything will be okay. Maybe after that you can read this book, but to take the first step, the next book is perfect, which is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's a neurologist. This is a perfect blend of science and spirituality. He talks to you like you're a 5-year-old, because when you are starting this journey, you are 5 years old. You need to treat yourself like a child. You need to parent yourself. You need to be kind and patient with yourself, and that is exactly what that is exactly what Dr. Joe Dispenza does, because there are concepts, a few difficult concepts that maybe you won't understand, but he drills it into your brain. I was getting so annoyed by that in so many points when I was reading the book, because I was like, I get it, move on. But that is exactly the kind of mindset that holds you back from changing. I get it, move on. Just getting is not the point. You know, you have to actually realize it and then also take the practical steps. When I bought this book, it was quite expensive. Now I don't know how much it is. So even if it is expensive right now, I think it'll be worth the investment if you actually buy it and then do the things that are said in the book. The second last book does not beat around the bush. It gives it to you straight, slaps you with facts, reminds you of how you should be grateful for the things that actually matter. Because I think that as human beings, we totally forget that we have a very finite number of years that we are going to live, and that's it. It's over for us. And the reason the author is able to slap us with the facts is because he is about to die, and he knows when, very, very soon. And so he has cut the crap straight to the point, so that you can be reminded of how to celebrate joy, what is actually important in life, how to follow your dream. And he has actually written this book to create a legacy for his own children. The book I'm talking about is The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch with Jeffrey Zasla. It's so short because he does not beat around the bush. It also starts with what came to him, like how this entire idea came to him, so you can understand the intensity of the matter, and then you move on to read all of the things that he has to say. I personally think that you don't have to listen to every single thing he is saying, and you don't have to take everything that he is saying, because obviously he's not God. No book is God, absolute truth. That is just not true. But I think it is definitely a good reminder of your mortal life and how you can take it for granted and how you shouldn't. In the end, if any of you is like me, who chooses to believe in the magic of the world and the universe, because I have been oscillating between the mindset of believing in manifestation and not believing in it, but now I have come to a conclusion that I personally genuinely believe in manifestation, because I have been manifesting my fears So I'm just like, if I can manifest my fears, then I think I can manifest my dreams, because I have manifested my dreams too. So I personally believe in it, but I also know that it is not the only way of living. There are so many people who don't believe in it, and that is completely fine, because that's what works for them. I totally get it, because I was there once myself. However, if you do want to go on your manifestation journey, you want a short and sweet book that will tell you what to do and how you can start, and the book is not The Secret, because that is not the only manifestation book out there. The next book is perfect for you, which is Manifest 7 Steps to Living Your Best Life by Roxy Nafousi. Now I'll tell you one thing. When this book says 7 steps to living your best life, it is not true, because this is the classic example of how just 7 steps or a book cannot change your life. There are so many things that you have to do in order to start living your best life. It will probably take you a year. It will probably take you more time than that. Or maybe if you don't have too many problems, then it will probably take you lesser time. And yes, the steps are extremely simple. Does not mean that they are easy. Does not mean that you don't have to put in the work and the effort for it. So it's not the 7 steps to living your best life, but it is definitely the best 7 steps to get started and to stay on the journey to get there, to start living your best life. I love this book because it is so practical, even if it is on manifestation, because I am so tired of people just saying think good and good will happen. That's what the law of attraction is. Like attracts like. As true as that is, my brain doesn't compute it, because brain is a brain and it needs information and it needs actionable steps. So if you don't give me that, I'm not going to understand. This book actually has exercises in it, so you don't just have to think good thoughts. You can just do the exercises and you'll be good to go. With that, we come towards the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're a returning viewer and you saw all of these repetitive recommendations and you still watch till the end, write down "We are your ride or die," because I want to know who you are. I love you guys so much, and I really hope you got at least one book out of it. If you did, then you have to subscribe. Come on. And if you didn't, and you're like, maybe the video can help somebody else, please do share the video with them. If you like the video, please do give it a big thumbs up, because that is only how YouTube knows that my video is good, and then recommends it to other people. All of the other beginner friendly videos will be linked in the description. Go check it out. I love you guys so much, more than you know. Bye.